Alright, so hi everybody. It's been the Christmas weekend. I didn't do many videos or much really, but spending time with my children and my husband. Sent out some messages to my best friend and a couple of distant relatives, and then pretty much stayed home. So I thought I'd do a video. I had talked to my grandmother, which I call Nana, and in a conversation with her, I had remembered a place that was special to me. And she was very religious, or is religious, and she went to church, and she went to Bible study, and she went to these meetings. And so one of the places she would go there was a businessmen's full gospel business breakfast meeting. It was the Eagle Rock chapter in California, and they would meet at the King Swede. King Swede was a restaurant, and in the back was like this area with the booths, the old booths, and we would meet there, and it was a men's thing. To be a member, you had to be a man. But my grandmother and her mother attended, and my grandmother would sometimes sing for them, or give a word of prophecy. She was a self-described prophet. And I would go, and I was little, and I went to the King Swede for many years. I would sit in the booth, and I would color on placemats, and I would play with My Little Pony, and I would sit with my sister sometimes. Most times, I think it started out with just me, because we were been separated, my sister and I. But the full gospel businessmen's meeting seemed more righteous and spiritual than church. And basically, these guys would come together. They would have a guest speaker. And if they didn't have a guest speaker, somebody would be asked to give a word or share or something. We'd all have breakfast. We'd have a group prayer. We'd eat our breakfast. There'd be like this word. And then people would start sharing. And then there'd be worship songs, spontaneous worship songs. And everything was interconnected. It was like very, everything flowed from one thing to another. It seemed like it was planned, but it was all spontaneous. And the scriptures, someone said, I've been reading this, and other people had been reading the same thing. And they said, I had this thing stand out to me. And other people were like, I needed to hear that. And then there was like worship songs that everybody would just start singing at the same time. And it was like everybody was on the same page and on the same wavelength. And they all were courteous to each other. They're all concerned about each other. They would pray for each other. They would spend time together. Fellowshipping, basically. Fellowshipping and advising each other on how to walk their faith while in the corporate setting. Walking that line where it might be beneficial not to be righteous, not to be godly, and go against what their employer might ask or what might benefit them, and still be strong and encourage each other. And so there was like, it was an amazing place to go. And going to church seemed very disconnected. Very disconnected from each other. They sit through the message, sing the songs that they were told to sing. You know, they would be like led through the songs. After church, they might grab a little bite, gossip a little bit, and then leave. And there was no real concern for each other. There's no real spiritual connection. Like, they got their attendance points or something. So this meeting meant a lot to me spiritually as a kid. And it was something I really enjoyed. I really looked forward to. I always wanted to go. And I went since I was like 4 years old. And as a teenager, I didn't go as often because I wasn't with my grandmother. And the chapters had altered. They changed. They went from the King Suite to, I think it was like the Marriott or something, because King Suite closed. And then a young Christian came in, very zealous, but he challenged for leadership, and the group split in half. And then other things happened, and some members passed away. These were older gentlemen, older people, and so a lot of my friends died of old age, because I was very close to very many senior citizens as a child. And when I grew up, those senior citizens passed on. So, as an adult, I went back to the meeting, and it wasn't the same. Now it was more disconnected, I guess. And I missed that thing I had with the original group, with the original meetings, where it was about living your faith, walking in your faith, and there was no judgment, and there was being on the same wavelength allowed us to experience teachings and growth together, not preached at, but experience learning together and growing as a group. And so I haven't been able to be a part of anything like it, and I guess I'm grateful that I had it. But talking to my grandmother, I remembered that, and she was surprised I remembered it, but it meant a lot to me. And I tend to forget things, and before I forget this again, I just thought I would document it and talk about it. And there was a guy named Bob Strong, and he was a stuntman for cowboy movies, and he was my friend. There was a guy named Abraham. He was the president, and I really enjoyed his company. He was my friend. There was a guy who trained Benji. From what I understand, he wasn't always the nicest guy, but he was a friend. There was a guy named Bob Hillman. They also called him Cowboy Bob. And there was a man named Trainer. And there was a man named Michael Edmonds. And there was quite a few people. And they're not who they used to be anymore. They're passed on. I think Bob Hillman might be still alive, but he has Alzheimer's, the last I heard, if he's still alive. And he didn't recognize anybody. So he's gone in another way. But the other men have passed away. And these were my childhood friends. And I don't think I'll have that again. But, I don't want to forget. So, anyways, two, I guess, important developmental groups or spiritual connections or being on the same page when you're rarely on the same page with anybody. So, to those times, just my hat off. You can like, you can subscribe, you can comment, and I will read it. And thank you for bearing with me. I know I'm not exactly thrilling, but I still haven't started editing yet. I'll get to that. Don't know when though. Maybe I'll make it a New Year's resolution or something. Alright, talk to you later. Bye.